His name was Dr. Vinny Vasectomy. Oh man, he loved doing vasectomies. He loved them so much he changed his last name to Vasectomy, and he would just give anybody a vasectomy, even if they didn't want it. Just ran around with a pair of scissors snipping balls. And then one day, he wanted to do the biggest vasectomy ever. The President of the United States. So he got a job working as the hedge clipper in the White House garden, and then one day the President came out, and he just ran at him trying to snip his balls. Yeah, he didn't even get close. The Secret Service just shot him dead right there. I mean, just not even close. They just lit his ass up. He's dead.
So we go into the woods and we capture a mole against his will, and we tell him we want him to dig a tunnel underneath the prison all the way to the Easter Bunny cell. After digging, we go down in the tunnel and we go plant a Minecraft TNT block under the Easter Bunny cell, and we ignite it so it blows a hole in the bottom of the floor. We grab the Easter Bunny, and Cody, you're going to be wearing an Easter Bunny costume, and you're going to stay in the prison cell so they don't notice that the Easter Bunny is gone. Then we're going to speed away on our motorcycles with the real Easter Bunny, and then after a few months of Cody being there as the Easter Bunny, you're going to take off the costume and they're going to say, wait, what is this kid doing in jail? He doesn't belong here. And then they're going to let you out.
So we dress up like robbers and we goes to the banks while it's closed, and there's probably gonna be a security guard sitting outside, so we have to distract him so good. So we throw a bucket of KFC chicken, extra crispy, and he start eating it and saying, yummy so good, yummy so good. And while he eating, we go inside the bank, and there's probably gonna be a bunch of red lasers, so we tape mirrors to our face and baps to make the lasers bounce off, and then we get to the safe, and you pull out a lemon coat, and then listen to the right combination to the safe, and then we open it up, and then so much money so good, and we start stacking our pop-ups. Then we blows a holes in the roofs, and a helicopter drops a ladder down, and we escapes.
Istanbul, his friend from school, was the glorious king of Eswatini for over 60 years. He killed hippopotamus with his bare hands. He cured a man's AIDS with snake bite. He performs miracles. He also #1 elephant racer in all of Africa. He was Chef Gordon of the jungle. But tragically, one day, during the Eswatini 500 elephant race, he was crossing the finish line while waving at the crowd, and his elephant tripped, throwing Istanbul to the ground, and the elephant fell right onto the ground next to him. Thankfully, Istanbul was not hurt. Later that night though, during his victory celebration, a lion tragically attacked him, but Istanbul killed the lion with a spear and wore the lion's fur like a robe. But then, while Istanbul was sleeping, his hut tragically caught on the fire and burned to the ground. But thankfully, Istanbul got out right in time. But the next day, he tragically died from the common cold. See, we have no medicine in Eswatini.
One time I was working at a Mexican restaurant, and there was a family that came in and sat down, and I brought them their food and said, hot plate, and I put the hot plate on the table, and the kid no listened to me, and he touched the hot plate, and he burned his finger, and the parents looked at me very mad, and I said, I told him hot plate. So that's why I always tell people hot plate, because the plate is very hot.
Your great-grandfather was a warrior, a Chinese samurai, defending the Great Wall of China from the Mongolian Fries. The Fries would try to fly over the Great Wall to take over China, and he would shoot them down with his bow and arrow and cut them in half with his sword. And after a long day of battle, he'd go home, and he'd make a bowl of chicken fried rice, and he was eating it with his chopsticks. And as he take a bite, a fry into his mouth, and he started choking like, and he fell over and died. I was just a little kid at the time, and I woke up and went into the kitchen holding my branky to get a glass of rice milk. And I see my grandfather on the ground, and I say, wake up, grandfather, wake up. And I poke him with his chopsticks, and I find out he dead, and I cry. So I take his samurai sword, and I go outside and practice. And next day, I go out and kick Mongolian fried ass to avenge my grandfather!
Okay, what would happen is the 100 men would circle the gorilla, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Stone Cold Steve Austin would be leading the group. Stone Cold Steve Austin would give the gorilla a Stone Cold Stunner, and The Rock would follow up with the People's Elbow. And then John Cena would come out of nowhere because he's invisible and give the gorilla an attitude adjustment. And then all the men all at once would jump on the gorilla and dogpile him. The weight of all the humans would be too much for the gorilla, and while he was laying down on the ground, the men would choke him out, and then a ref would come out of nowhere and go, 1, 2, 3, ding, 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 it's over, it's over, the 100 men easily win.
What would really happen is the gorilla would have a fucking field day. It would be like recess for him. The 100 men would run at the gorilla, and he would just swing his arms, knocking the men to the ground, and then he would jump on top of the men, crushing them and ripping their limbs off. He would never even give them a chance to dogpile on top of them because he would be so busy swinging his arms and biting men's faces off. It would be easy claps for the gorilla.
So I used to live at the zoo in the cheetah exhibit. My name was Chester Cheat Oppenheimer. Cheeto for short. Kids loved looking at me, man. They'd throw cheese in my enclosure, and I would take a cheese grater and make dust out of it. And that's how I invented Cheetos. The president loved them so much, he said, "Chester, these Cheetos are the bomb. Speaking of bombs, I need 2 big ones." So I said, "Right away, Mr. President." And they locked me in a room with all the Cheetos I could eat and uranium. And Albert Einstein was there too for some reason, man. So I made 2 atomic bombs. I was in the Enola Gay when they dropped the first one. I looked back and saw the explosion, and that's how I went blind. Then they dropped the second one, and that just made me sad. So I've been snorting Cheetos and being depressed ever since, man.
Okay, so I was visiting my Uncle Peebo at a federal prison in Colorado, and we were eating some really good lunch. And out of nowhere, I see the Josh Gad walk by with a huge sub sandwich, and I start yelling, Josh, do you want to build a snowman? Look at me, please. Mr. Olaf, look." And then he looked at me, but he was really confused. And then he kept walking. So I went to the prison staff and asked them to print out a picture of Josh Gad for me. And they said, "Who?" And I pointed at him and they said, "Oh, Jared." And I was like, "Sure." I guess Josh is short for Jared in prison. So they printed out a picture of him for me, and I walked up to him and asked him to sign his name. And he said, "What? Really? Me? My name?" And I was like, "Yes, you're the Josh Gad. Write Josh Gad on this damn picture. And can you draw Olaf the snowman for me?" And he did it. Can you believe it?
So I pulled up to the Russian mobster house, and they wanted to play pool, and they saw how good I was at pool, because I'm great at it, and then they wanted me and Officer Keebler to be in their district for the Hunger Games. So then they took us to Denny's to get us a lot of food so we'd be full before the Hunger Games, and then they took us to a strip club so we'd get some hoes and get our strength up before the big fight. So then they put us in these little tube things, and they raised us up into this big field with all the other district people, and then they said, "Go." So usually you're supposed to run and grab a bunch of weapons, but I already had my pool stick gun. So me and Officer Keebler just ran into the forest and climbed up a tree and just waited. Then we saw this girl named Cat Piss or something, and she was killing people with her bow and arrow, and oh yeah, she had this boyfriend named Peta. Not Peter, Peta, like how Lois Griffin says Peter. It was weird. And then Keebler sneezed, so Cat Piss was gonna try to shoot us with her bow and arrow, so I shot this bee's nest full of deadly bees with my pool gun, and it fell and hit Peta on the head. So then I shot Cat Piss with my other last bullet from the gun, and she died. So then we just camped until there was one guy left, and Keebler said, "Yo, bro, it's 2v1, let's get him. He's definitely a bot." But I didn't have any weapons or mats, all I had was a chug jug. So Officer Keebler runs up on him with confidence and gets his shield taken off, and the guy starts building Empire State Buildings, and Keebler yelled, "Bro, he's real, he's real." And then Officer Keebler got sniped, so I was running around, and the guy jumped down and tried to shoot me, but he died from fall damage. So I won the Hunger Games.